Hello, it's me Gemma and I am about to cook something really tasty and summery and fresh. It's a pistachio, lime and cardamom cake. The first thing you're going to need is 185 grams of self-raising flour. Just pop that in the mixing bowl like that. And then 185 grams of caster sugar as well. I've got half a teaspoon of baking powder in here. Next, I've got 150 grams of pistachio nuts, which I've basically bashed up with a rolling pin. I'll just pop those in as well. Next, I've got 150 grams of softened unsalted butter. The next thing you're going to need is probably the best bit, I'd say, which is ground cardamom. Now, I always buy the whole pods. They look like this to start with. Just really fragrant, pale green little pods. And inside, if you bash them with a pestle and mortar, inside you'll see these little black seeds, like that. And what you want to do is bash them up and get those seeds out. And then in your pestle and mortar, just grind it up until it's really nice and fine like that. And then you need half a teaspoon of that. Just whack that in the bowl as well. The next thing we need to put in is 3 large free-range eggs. So just pop those in as well. And then start mixing. Start on a low speed and increase to a medium speed. And you need to beat that together for about 60 seconds, so a minute. Right, so once that's had a minute, turn it off, and then I've got 125 grams of plain yoghurt. Just pop that in, and then give that another mix for about 30 seconds. And we're done. So just turn the mixer off, scrape down your paddle. I've prepared a loaf tin. You can also bake this in an 8-inch round spring form or just regular cake tin. So just put all the batter in. Level it off a tiny bit. It'll level itself out really, but just give it a helping hand. There we go. So then we just need to bake it at 170 degrees C for about an hour, or until a skewer which is inserted comes out completely clean. But start with an hour first. Right, so the cake's had an hour in the oven, and I'm just going to take it out and check it with a skewer, and if the skewer comes out clean, then it's ready. Right, that is clean as a whistle, so doesn't need any more cooking, so just leave it to one side to cool down a bit, and we're going to get on with making the syrup. I'm going to make some delicious lime syrup to pour all over the top. And it's really, really easy. You just need 125 grams of caster sugar and pop it in a little saucepan, like so. And then you need to have the juice of 2 limes, but first I'm going to zest one and pop the zest to one side. So just use a microplane like this, a nice fine one, or just a grater, a fine grater is fine. Very gently just zest that. Right, so that's all ready for later. And then just the juice of 2 limes, just cut them in half and give them a squeeze. Straight into the sugar. Right, and then just finish that off with 75 millilitres of water, and then it's ready to go on the hob. Right, so you need to just put it on a low heat, well, medium low, and then bring it to the boil, stirring occasionally. And we're just going to make a syrup, so we're not going to caramelise it or anything. So this will take about 4 minutes, stirring every now and then, and then it'll be syrupy, and then we'll put the zest in. Right, so once it's had a couple of minutes on the boil, get that lovely zest that you took off your lime and pop it in, and then cook for a further couple of minutes. Give it a little stir. Oh, it starts already, the zest is starting to make this really fragrant. Right, so that's had 5 minutes boiling and it's gone really nice and syrupy. It hasn't started to caramelise or anything, because this is just right. So you're going to take it off the heat and put it on a heat-proof mat. Now, that's going to stay pretty hot for quite a while. So, I've got a handful of pistachio nuts, I'd say maybe 80 grams, and I'm just going to roughly chop them. We'll sprinkle those on the top at the end. Right, that's most of it done. Right, so my cake's still warm, but it's cool enough to handle, so I'm just going to turn it out and pop it on a plate. And then, using that skewer, stab it a few times. And that's going to help all the syrup absorb into the cake, and then just pour it all over. Whoa. Because that's all nice and sticky, we're going to sprinkle the pistachios on and it's going to all stick to it, so it's going to look really cool. So just leave that to cool completely and then it's time to eat it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and this recipe happens to be one of the recipes in my book, which is coming out in June, so if you'd like to buy that, then click on the link. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, then you should definitely do that, because there's loads more yummy things to bake. So do that by clicking on this link. And I think I better eat some of this cake now, because it's kind of winking at me. So here goes. Gee.